My husband has a second family. Hi, I am your host, Rachel, and welcome to Snacks and Scandals, where snacks meet Reddit story scandals. Today's episode theme has to do with dirty secrets and double lives. And typically, when you're living a double life, there's a lot of layers to the situation, a lot of people involved who are unaware of each other. So, to go along with our layers of situations, we have a 7-layer dip from my local grocery store and a new chip that I found in Walmart. It's pronounced Cheel, and it is a flavor of Chalupa, which I absolutely love Chalupa. So I'm looking forward to this. But before we dive into our 7-layer dip, we're going to dive into our first story. This comes from the subreddit True Off My Chest. My husband has a second family. The ultimate cliche has happened in my life. I am absolutely broken. My husband, my rock, has been having an affair for over 17 years. We have been married for over 25 years. We have 3 beautiful children, 2 in college and 1 who still lives at home. But turns out he's had another set this whole time. My husband is an insurance broker. He has multiple branches over the country, which he spends week on, week off. Turns out on his week off, he's been with his other family in Albuquerque, where his other branch is. He's got a fiancée whom he has 2 kids with, both in their early teens. I found out when I went to make a new Facebook account, and when I searched my husband's first name, another profile with another last name popped up. And through that profile were the links to his fiancés and his other kids' Facebooks. My husband is currently with said family, and I know it's him because his most recent post is a photo of him and the other family eating dinner. Among those photos were photos of him kissing the girl and him being fatherly with the kids who look nearly identical to my husband. I am absolutely broken. Almost every part of me wants to scream in his face and reprimand him for ruining my life. But another part of me wants to pretend to be ignorant and let it be. Because our life is peaceful, he's good with our kids, he's the main source of financial income, he's loving, but he's also all those things to another family. Not only would I be tearing a gaping hole into my family, I'd be opening up a vortex for them too. My heart is in shambles. I've never cried so much in my life. My youngest son is currently on a graduation trip with friends, and I'm alone till my lying, cheating, bastard husband comes home. My life is absolutely wrecked. It's literally a movie plot. I'm hoping he'll just come home and it'll be a big misunderstanding why he's kissing a woman with a ring on her finger. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm tempted to pack a bag and just leave. I can't be in the home where we raised our kids, where we spent many Christmases for the last 26 years, and where I've been alone on New Year's taking care of our babies while he works. I just can't. I want to leave a note for him to come home to, hurt him like he's hurt me, but I don't think that's possible. I don't know how I'll ever face him again. And there are some follow-ups to this story. This update comes 4 days after the original post. This is a follow-up. Firstly, thank you so much for the advice. I'm not in any means good with legal things, so all legal advice has been noted. I've rung an attorney. We are discussing the process. He's also told me to gather as much evidence as I could, such as photos of the Facebook pages, text messages, and recent flight information. All has been put into a folder, and I'll present it to a judge or jury when we go into some sort of divorce proceeding. Again, not fully clear what specifics, but it's a good sign. I've also been in contact with the other woman. I've told her, explain the situation, and she was equally distraught. From what I am aware, she's financially independent from him and they don't share property, so it seems very clean cut on her behalf. My husband is aware of the fact that I know and is currently staying in a hotel, but he is unaware the other woman knows. I confronted him when he walked through the door. He started to cry and plead, and it was honestly kind of pathetic. I mean, I was crying too, but I've chosen to think of him as a pathetic coward for doing this because he is. But anyways, I have my name on the property. We both do, so it's not like I can just kick him out, but he's chosen to stay away for my sake. All I am thinking is if he chose to stay away for my sake, maybe being faithful for my sake should have been considered too. Despite this, he's staying away. He's in a hotel room downtown where he calls every few hours to check up. I'm no longer sad. Well, I am, but I'm way more furious than sad currently. My kids still have no idea, and my youngest thinks my husband is working more in Albuquerque because of a business problem. I'm still confused how to tell them they have 2 half siblings and 2 parents, and with 1 extra backup parent. I'm just feeling very, very unappreciated and unwanted lately, but your kind words have been so helpful. Thank you guys so much. Much love. And the final update was 6 months later. This is in reference to my post titled, My Husband Has a Second Family. Firstly, I would like to start off by thanking everyone who had positive things to say. The widespread support has been so helpful during this period, and I'm truly amazed at the kindness shown to me. Thank you. And now for the update. I won't be going into details about the divorce because it is still ongoing, but do rest assured it is happening. A few people seemed worried I was going to stay with him, and for a period of time I would have, but no, we are divorcing. On that note, I have completely cut contact with him. Our contact is through lawyers only. He officially moved out of the house, and my middle moved back in to help out over the break. My kids have, to my knowledge, cut most contact with him, but I haven't asked as it is not my place. Also, custody isn't a problem because my youngest turned 18 recently. We have also been in contact with the other family, and we even spent Christmas together. Despite being a little awkward at first, me and his ex-fiancée are trying our hardest to bring the kids together harmoniously. And that'll be the last update. I'm logging off of Reddit now. I will continue living my life. I'll try to support my kids through this, but I'll forever be thankful for the support and love you all have shown. Yours truly and sincerely, OP. Oh my gosh. I have often said, you really don't know people. Like, I'll say that to my mom or my sisters. You really have no idea. And they're like, oh no, they're my husband, or they're this, or they're that. But look at what happened with this husband of 25 years. Look what he was doing. He had a whole nother life. And like, there's that serial killer, Rex Humerman. Look at what he did, and his wife, well, we don't really know, but supposedly didn't know what was going on. But my point is, you really don't know anybody, and maybe there's suspicions along the way. Maybe you should do something about those suspicions, but some people just like to stick their head in the sand and be none the wiser, because like this OP said, it really can tear up your family and your routine, and you're maybe financially dependent on that person. Who knows? But I'm glad everything has somewhat worked out for this OP, and props to her for bringing the 2 families together and the other woman, because essentially they are related and they are siblings. So props to both of them for doing that. So let's read some comments. Serves him right for the ex-wife and the ex-fiancé to become friends and leave him out in the cold. Maybe he'll start a 3rd family. Maybe he did have a 3rd family. Who knows? I want a window into that dude's mind. I mean, I'm sure that it got to the point of tiger by the tail situation. 2 families, long-term kids. It's a miracle it took that long that he got found out. Was it pure greed, overconfidence, sleaze? Was he compartmentalizing somehow? Just fascinating. That's true. It's like a whole psychological breakdown of how somebody lives that kind of a double life. And especially consider the people who never get caught. That's one cheater with a lot of energy. I'll give him that. 2 families, 5 kids in 17 years, and the business that he was running had to be pretty demanding too, if he was even running that business. Her youngest is 18, and he had an affair for 17 years, so he must have started cheating when she was postpartum. He sucks. Yeah. Apparently, my husband's grandfather had a second family in a town about 45 minutes away from where he lived. After the grandfather died, a bunch of half-siblings showed up at my father-in-law's door, but he wasn't interested in building a relationship with them. Ooh, yeah, this is how those DNA tests, family trees expand and expand and expand and expand. One question, how did this work during lockdown? I mean, insurance isn't a you have to be there situation, and at least one family had to wonder, where was dad? The OP responded, one thing I wondered was what he told the other family about his job. Was it the same thing, that he was an insurance agent, or did he just tell them something else? Or did he just go on a business trip and get stuck wherever he was? I actually had a friend who got stuck abroad for a while, and my sister almost did as well. I could see that working out for at least a little bit. I don't know, just spitballing ideas. So no real answer there. I'll just go ahead and assume that this is a real post, but how does an insurance agent get away with explaining away not being around for Christmas and Thanksgiving? The OP did not respond to that one, but that is a good question. Wow, the audacity of that man to cry to this emotionally distraught wife when he caused all the pain she's going through. I know. The stress that he had to have been living through, knowing that this would most likely come out eventually, he must have really worked hard in covering his tracks. Okay, one more comment, and it goes towards what I was just saying. If the guy was able to keep this secret from both families for 18 plus years, that is some psychopathic level stuff. To not slip up when talking to either of them, but dude got what he deserved, and it's kind of ironic that they all became a big family together without him. Yeah, that is very true. So let's give our 7-layer dip a try. It's been ages since I've had a 7-layer dip. Okay, I'm not a fan of all of the layers, but we will eat some with all the layers. Here's our chips. On the back here, it says, so thin, so crisp, so good, because it is pronounced so Cheel. Cheel. Spicy, crispy with only the finest ingredients. The taste of Mexico has never been closer than with so Cheel. Okay, yes, right away they are very thin. They're breaking apart. I'm just going to try one without anything on it. Very delicate. Very thin. Not made for dipping. I'm going to tell you that right now. This is going to be a challenge. I have let this sit out so that it would be a little bit easier to eat, but as I said, not great for dipping. Okay, let's go for that big bite. That is good. It's not cold, so it's not hard or anything. Pretty easy to dip, but I don't care for, what are these, green onions and olives. I like olives by themselves, but not on pizza or anything, but I'll eat them by themselves. So let's try with just some, if we can, okay. With just some guacamole and sour cream. Yeah, that's tasty. I mean, 7-layer dip. My dip, if I made it myself, would probably be like 4 or 5 layers. So let's get into our second story. This comes from True Off My Chest. I found out that my boyfriend of 2 years is married and has kids. I'm showing myself to his family tomorrow at his church. That's the headline. Throwaway, because I don't want my followers to see this. I'm just so confused right now. I need to talk to somebody. I've been seeing this guy Adam, 32, for 2 years. He's from another town but visits me on weekends. I never met his family, friends, or been to his town. First issue. I know that he works at the church and he takes pride in that. 3 weeks ago, I found out that he's actually married and has 2 kids. I was devastated and in a state of disbelief, but most of all, I was mad, especially after I confirmed that via his wife's social media account. We're still talking and I haven't broken up with him yet. I planned and decided to show myself to his family on Sunday at his church and let them know that he used me and took advantage. I plan on ending it right there and then. I'm currently in his town staying at a hotel. I'm doing this tomorrow and no one knows except myself. He's still texting me lies thinking that I'm stupid or ignorant. I feel terrible, but something's pushing me to do this. Don't know if it's anger or feeling bad for his wife and kids. I'm not going to lie. I'm worried this might backfire at me, but at this point I have nothing to lose. I just feel like I need to get my respect and dignity back after being lied to and fooled for 2 years. She's feeling torn about this for good reason because she shouldn't do this to the wife and the kids. They're innocent in this. She needs to do it to him, something to him, but going to the church and making a fool out of her and the kids, that's not fair to them. I mean, it's not fair to anybody involved, really, but that's definitely not fair to them. Yeah, somebody writes, talk to the wife, not publicly, leave the kids out of it. You have a right to be hurt, but hurting children and a wife that do not do anything to you puts you in the wrong with them. Be an adult about this. Very true. Somebody else write, as scummy as it is, it's pretty remarkable that he got away with it for so long and I can't even take a crap without my wife and kids hunting me down. Really? Usually it's always like the mom who kids follow them around. Somebody else writes, oh, believe me, people do this. My grandfather was married to my grandmother with 3 kids and had an entire second marriage with other children for years before my grandmother found out on pure accident. As awful as OP's situation is, thank God she can get the F out of there without having had children with this piece of crap. His wife, I do not envy at all. Yeah. This happens so much. It seems like so many more times than not. Somebody else writes, I am with everyone else here. It's going to blow up in your face if you make it a scene. The church will make you the villain, him the victim, and the wife the lame duck. Sit next to her and tell her you want to speak to her in private. Give her unrefutable evidence. Walk away. Never look back. If she wants to make a scene, let her make that call. It's probably hard to see it this way, but both of you are victims, and this man's, I've never seen that word before, machinations. Okay, as much as you want to ruin this man in spectacular fashion, it's not her fault he did this. Please be considerate. Our final comment reads, I'm sorry, but how do you stay with someone for 2 years and not meet any of his friends, family, been to his town or his house? I'm not attacking you. I'm just saying you didn't think it's a little strange. That's a very good point. 2 years and you don't know anything about him. That's like, hello, red flag. But maybe she's young. Maybe she thought it was weird but didn't pursue it. Who knows what kind of a person she is. But this is really unfortunate, and I hope that she doesn't go about this the way that she said she was going to. Unfortunately, we don't have any updates on this story, but at the very least, hopefully she got rid of this guy and moved on. And our final story comes from the subreddit Infidelity. My wife's suspicious behavior led to a devastating discovery. How do I cope? I've been married to my wife for 4 years and we have 2 young kids. On the surface, our marriage seems solid. Sure, we've had minor problems, but we've always talked things through, and she would often point out how our issues weren't as bad as other couples. I've always loved her independence, and it's one of the things that made me fall for her, but I'm more open about my feelings than she is. We both work in the tech industry, have master's degrees, and are generally introverted, so we enjoy spending most of our time together. Since we got married, I've been the one paying for everything: our mortgage on a $500,000 house, daycare for 2 kids, food, 60% of her personal expenses, and more. I don't mind because I love taking care of my family. I also help out a lot around the house with cleaning, doing dishes, doing DIYs, etc. It's just how I am. 5 months ago, everything changed. My wife started talking to an old male friend slash colleague who lives in Germany. At first, I didn't think much of it, but her behavior quickly became suspicious. She started hiding in the bathroom, guest room, our kids' room, or even the car to talk to him. She changed her phone password, which was unusual because we always had known each other's. At the time, our youngest was only 9 months old, and she had just been laid off from her IT job. She was feeling depressed, and I did everything I could to support her. By coaching her, I paid for additional training and certifications, helped with her job search, and encouraged her to keep going. But then she started planning a trip to Germany with a single female friend. I assumed it was a way to cheer herself up, so I didn't question it at the least, not until I discovered what was really going on. About 6 weeks into their conversations, I confronted her. She admitted that this man had been making sexual advances toward her, but insisted they were just friends. She apologized, begged for forgiveness, and promised she'd blocked him on all platforms. She also canceled her trip to Germany. At the time, I chose to believe her and move forward. While I appreciated her cutting contact, I can't shake the pain and hurt from this experience. She claims their entire communication happened on Snapchat, which leaves no record, so I have no way of knowing what really happened or how far it went. I question, why did she allow him to keep making sexual advances for 6 weeks without shutting it down or telling me? What role did she play in those conversations? What would have happened if I hadn't found out? What would have happened if she'd gone to Germany? How do I trust her again? How do I stop feeling this hurt? I can't sleep every night. I wake up at 2 and 1 a.m. thinking about it every night. I feel devastated, heartbroken, and betrayed. Even though she seems genuine in her regret and wants to move past this, I don't know if I can. Part of me wants to stay and try to make things work, but another part of me feels like staying will only lead to more mental torture. I don't know how to trust her again, and I'm questioning whether she truly cares, respects, or loves me. How do I move forward, or is it possible to rebuild trust after something like this, or am I setting myself up for more pain? First of all, you need to ask your wife the questions that you asked Reddit and tell her exactly how you're feeling and ask her directly, what would have happened had I not found out and you did go to Germany? Okay, if you allowed him to make sexual advances towards you over Snapchat or whatever, then what would you have done in person? I'm sure if she was in person, things would have gotten heated, okay? And not in a good way for her husband. So he needs to ask her these questions, and she needs to be straightforward with him. And depending on how she responds, whether she's open to responding or just closes off, because he said that he's more open with his feelings than she is, then ask her if she'll go to therapy, because this is something that you might not be able to come back from. So let's read some comments. Here's the reality. Your wife was en route to Germany to have sex with that guy. That's painfully obvious. She has made a decision to step outside of your marriage and seek the attention of another man. You can't trust her in any fashion going forward. She was willing to lie to your face and manipulate you by using your love for her against you so she could sneak around behind your back and betray you in the most intimate ways possible. In my book, that's a done deal and your marriage is over. You should be doing your best to protect your family financially and be the best dad you can be for your kids, but send her packing because she'll never be faithful to you. Look, I get it. You have kids, etc. I was active duty military too. My now ex-wife cheated on me. I stayed for the kids. She swore upon everything holy that she would be the perfect wife going forward. I caught her cheating again just a few years later, and in the divorce discovered she'd been cheating with different men the whole time. She just got better at hiding it. I'll never make that mistake again. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. If they cheat, the marriage is over. No questions, no discussions, just done. Your wife cheated. Take my advice, start the divorce, and stay the course. That's tough. Some people are, it happens once, that's it. Some people, they forgive and it happens again. I know people like that, but it's ultimately, can you really say if somebody cheats once, they're going to cheat twice or again? Is there ever a case out there? If anybody's willing to share, I would love to know if there's a case out there where they know of somebody or their significant other cheated once and that's it. But how would you really know? I mean, how would you really, really, truly know? One person writes, your wife isn't remorseful. She's regretful. She didn't cut it off and confess to you. It was ongoing and she was getting ready to have sex with those guys in Germany. Sprechen Sie Deutsch? You know what those messages said, and you know what she was an active participant in the sexting, and she was hot to get her mouth and the J filled by her boyfriend. Okay, so that commenter is very graphic. Thank you so much for that. Yes. She had all this suspicious behavior. Okay, she starts talking to this guy in Germany, an old friend, colleague, whatever he is. And all of a sudden she's going off into other rooms while she talks to him. Like, come on, dude. You know things are happening. Why didn't you approach it right then? And she changed the passcode on her phone. Like, let's get in front of this and see what is happening. Because it got to the point of her scheduling this whole trip to Germany to go see this guy. Like, we all, like everybody else said, we know what was going to happen. And things were going to get hot and heavy over there in Germany. So what else is there to say but get a therapist if she won't open up, and if she won't do that, then sayonara. And with that, sayonara to this episode. No, before we go, let's rate our chips. I'm going to give these an 8.5 because they are so delicious, but they are a little bit too thin for dipping. And maybe our 7-layer dip is a little bit too substantial for them as a dip. Well, obviously it is, Rachel. Okay, obviously it is. And maybe these would be okay in salsa, but I would love to eat these with 7-layer dip. And I'm going to continue to do so after I shut off this video. But anyway, 8.5 for these. 7-layer dip. Take off the onion, take off the olives. Everything else is okay. Add some more tomatoes there. They're kind of skimpy on the tomatoes. But without olives and green onions, I give this a 9. It's delicious. So let me know what you thought of today's dirty secrets and double lives. And if these people were going to continue cheating, had they not gotten caught, we know the answer to that. But comment below. I love to hear from you. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you'll join me for my next episode.